Hello and welcome to Organizing Life's Daily Demands. My name is Peter Gordon and I'm the president of New York Financial Organizers. We're daily money managers and we help people pay their bills, file insurance claims, and do the general non-investment side of finance. We're financial organizers. And the point of this podcast is to introduce people to other services where they might get help in organizing their life. And I have the perfect guest today, and that's Tina O'Keefe of Stow and Behold. And she is a professional organizer. How you doing today, Tina?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, Peter.
Sure, my pleasure. So there's financial organization, which is not nearly as common as professional organization. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, a professional organizer is an individual who works with clients, both residential and commercial, to help them develop system and processes to be more efficient. And that can take on many different forms depending on who the client is and what the situation is. But ultimately, we're there to help remove the clutter and also to prevent it from returning.
There you go. And how did you get started in this?
So my background is in writing, and I was in communications. I did grant writing, public relations, corporate consulting, you name it. And
Was that in your own business, or is that on for companies? Were you an employee?
various companies. I did not have my own business until like 2005. I came back I served in the Peace Corps with my husband,
Oh,
and
wonderful.
that's where I did grant writing and all that kind of good stuff.
I got to get into that. Where did you serve?
We served in Ukraine from 2003 to 2010.
Actually, I did know that, right?
And part of my work there was a lot of grant writing, doing communications, smoothing out translations. And then when we returned from that, I went into corporate communications, but also was doing freelance copy editing on the side. And one of my copy editing clients sent me to a conference, and one of the speakers at the conference was an organizer. And that's when I realized, I didn't know you could do that for a living. And so I approached her and spoke to her about her business, and she was booming. She was based in Manhattan, and she said that she could use people to work underneath her brand. And then that's kind of how I got my feet wet in the industry.
Got it. And I can tell you're a writer from the name of your company. Tell us about the name.
I organized underneath this other brand for a good bit of time. And then I started having a family and I couldn't maintain 3 jobs anymore. So I had to let that one go. And then fast forward to 2013, I was kind of trying to figure out really what to do next. And my husband said, you really love that organizing. Why don't you go back to it? And I said, I'll give it a try. So I tried to come up with a business name, and I was trying to think of that epiphany of when you reorganize something and you realize like you have all this space that you didn't know you had, and it's like lo and behold all the space. And then that's when I came up with Stow and Behold.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic name.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And what's involved in being a professional organizer?
I would say it is a lot of it's problem solving. So it's going into a space and saying like, how can we make this better for you? It's very much tailored to the individual's needs. So, a lot of people see the shows on television, like the home edit, and they're doing all this like really fancy, organizing candy by color and things like that. And the truth is that
What show is that? I don't know. What is that?
it's an organizing show where they do
Cool.
like very upscale organizing projects and
What's it called?
the home edit.
I have to find that.
And a lot of people have seen that, those kinds of shows like Marie Kondo, they're very inspiring. But the only thing I add to it is like, television. All television is created for entertainment, so it's not always going to be like that. And the truth is that every organizing project is different, and I really approach it as what's staying and what's going. Let's, making those choices, making good choices about where things go if they're not going to stay. And then really trying to figure out, like, and the things that we don't know where they're going, well, how can we fix that? So, if there's someone with a pile of electronics that are defunct and they don't know what to do with them, well, where do they have to go? They have to go to Staples or Best Buy to be recycled electronically, or to your local electronic recycling program. If you have all these Amazon packages, a lot of times I have senior clients who are not really good about returning things that they order. They like to order and they don't return them. So, we have a pile of things that have to go back to Amazon. So let's initiate those returns and let me scoop them all up, and I'll drop them off, kind of thing. So some of it is organizing, and sometimes it is problem solving. Just what's in our way and how do we get it out of our way, and whatever needs to be done to do that.
Yeah, I know we've worked together, and I love that skill that you have about knowing what to do to get the most out of repurposing items that people don't need anymore. And from my experience, working with people who are downsizing, that's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, and now, in today's world, people want to be efficient about that, and they want to get the most use out of things if possible. And you do an amazing job. You're a great resource for that.
Thank you.
What makes you different than other organizers?
So I think a lot of organizers have different niches. So some people focus on photographs, some people focus on technology, moving. I specialize in working with seniors and people with physical disabilities, and I also and folded into that is my focus on donation and service.
Mm.
So, I'm not going to show up, put a dumpster in front of your house, and start tossing things. Like, that is a very easy solution, but it really, if someone is anxious about organizing or has unresolved emotions about cleaning out the home of a family member, or their own home, seeing that dumpster and seeing everything flying into it that is not necessarily garbage, it can be heartbreaking. So what I've learned over the years is that really a good carrot for people who are reluctant to organize, and a good a good way for people to feel better about what they're doing, is that if they know that it's going to go to charity. And so that's kind of a really big part of what I do, which is going through everything and finding a home for it. Like I said, recycling what needs to be recycled, but also donating household items, kitchen items, furniture, artwork, whatever it is that the family doesn't want or can't take to the next place. Finding a good home for it in a way that it'll be a win-win for everybody. And that makes the process much more positive for everyone. I've had family members I had one family locally who I worked with, and the person had been sick for a long time and had been receiving adult care items like bed pads and like adult diapers for years, and no one knew how to stop it. So the caretaker was just putting them in the basement. And when I went down to the basement, there were hundreds of boxes of unopened adult diapers. And, we were trying to clean out this house, but ultimately, like, this is a product that it can be expensive. When people are sick, they go through a lot of them. And so we made a decision to try to find a home for them. And we did. We found a convent in Long Island that has a nursing home as one portion of their facility, and they were willing to send trucks. 2 trucks had to come to take all of these boxes out.
Wow.
It was a huge effort. Yeah, so we had, I think almost 200 boxes, large boxes of these medical items. And the homeowner said, this is what my mom would have wanted. His mom was someone who was very active in the community, and, you know, it just absolutely made him feel a ton better that this was not just getting dumped, but that it was actually going to go somewhere and to a community that was super grateful, to have it. So
Unfortunately, that is not an unusual situation. I've run into that, and maybe I'll do a whole different podcast on it because what it is that, from my experience, community Medicaid, the home health care agency, actually it's the insurance, the long-term care management insurance, they order these items from vendors, and then the vendors start sending them because they get paid no matter what.
Right.
So I had a client, maybe they weren't 200, but there were 100 boxes. We ended up giving it to this great organization called AFIA, which I should talk to you about.
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they took them and they shipped those items. Generally, it was overseas originally, but fascinatingly enough, they started using it domestically because we have our own issues here.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I use aspects of social media as well. There are certain communities online that you can give things away. And so
Sure.
I've sort of tapped into a stream of individuals who have sick family members who utilize these items. So if it's a small quantity, I just
That's fantastic.
give them away privately. 1 or 2 packages, I'll give them away. If it's a lot, then I usually try to find an organization that can then redistribute them.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Yeah, no, I know, and we've worked together, and I've really appreciated the care that you put into the work you do and making sure that items get used, and also the thought you put into it to make sure it gets done properly.
Thank you.
And we know each other through an organization of people in the senior service industries, which is called SunQ. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I was brought into SunQ by one of its board members, actually the chair at the time, which was Karen Isaacs, and she's a patient advocate. And so she recognized right away, like, that our services together were really complementary. And so I've worked on a few cases with her clients. And so she brought me into SunQ, which is this great organization. Sun in general is not just in SunQ stands for Sun Queens. It's actually,
What does SUN stand for?
Senior Umbrella Network. And it's, as you said, all these professionals who are working, supporting seniors in all different capacities. And so I ended up getting involved in that group. And then Karen asked me to join the board, and I'm, the co-chair of marketing for that group. And they just became a 501c3 nonprofit, which is great. And it's just a really, always great for me, especially to network with other professionals, because you just named a charity that I didn't know about. So, like, this is what I'm constantly
doing. Yeah, that's how it works.
Building up these resources and, like, learning about different opportunities for me to help out, and for other, to invite other organizations in to share their information. So it's great.
And also the people in the senior service industries are really nice people. They're we're in business to make money, but we also care about the work we do, and that makes for an enjoyable gathering. We had one last week, and where there was a raffle, and I got into the raffle, and lo and behold, Stow and Behold, I won the Stow and Behold raffle. It was great organizing basket, and
yes,
I am a client of yours as well, and we'll be talking about that soon.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I donate baskets, which usually includes like a mini organizing session, and to different charities when they have raffles and stuff, because it's, I'm very happy to at least get someone started. Part of what I do is, my initial visit is I build in an assessment into the actual work session, and so then that way the client gets a sense of who I am and what it's like to work with me, and then at the end of that, if there's more work to be done, I typically do a plan in which, I type out like all the things that I saw and all the challenges and the solutions, and I give that back to them. So the idea of the gift basket is that even if we just do one session together, at the end of that, you'll have a roadmap that you can enact independently on your own if you want to try it, which a lot of people do and are successful, or we can keep working together, and organize together. So, but it gives people that option. And I will tell you, early on in my business, I did donate a basket to a school function, and I was at the function, and the woman next to me won it and didn't know that I was the donor, and complained bitterly to her friend that she was very angry that her daughter put a ticket in that basket because, you know, she doesn't need it, and what a waste of time. And I felt terrible. So I actually didn't donate for a long time after that because I kind of felt I was like embarrassed about it.
Did she use the
No, I don't.
certificate? Oh,
She never contacted
I
me.
thought there was going to be a happy ending there.
No, no, no. But it kind of made me question whether or not I was like, oh, I don't want to. Maybe people don't see it as a gift, and they don't want to receive it that way. And then someone asked me to do a basket, and I told them that story, and they were like, "That's crazy."
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is a
no,
great service. So,
it's a great thing to win.
so
And I was
uh,
going to actually wait for a client who possibly needed the services, but my wife wants to use it for the bedroom, so you'll be hearing
right,
from us. Yeah.
let's do it.
Um, I, you mentioned TV before, and there's there's a show about hoarders. Do you have experience working with hoarders?
So I will tell you that back in 2016, I was on the show as an
Oh
organizer,
wow,
not a client, as an organizer. um,
wow.
yeah, so they have the person who's on the television again. Like I always warn people, television is entertainment. So there's a person who's on camera talking to you about the client and the issues that they're having and what the strategy that they're going to use. But on that show, they often have organizers in the background actually doing the grunt work. So I was on an episode that took place not far from me here in Queens, and I worked with another organizer in the background. So you saw me on camera for maybe like 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds, filling boxes, and it was it's hard because that is a case. Those are extreme cases in which there's I mean, the person has agreed to be on the show, but also sometimes there's something pressing happening, like the house needs to be sold, or adult protective services has been called. Like that's not out of the realm of possibility. So in those cases, and also for the purpose of entertainment, they are removing everything from the house, and then a lot of it went to the garbage, but a lot of it went into boxes that were then put into a garage, and then that person was then going to have to go through a garage full of boxes.
But what's your experience dealing with hoarders outside
My
of?
experience, so that show showed me again how deceptive television can be, because the
Oh
truth is
yeah.
that when I work with hoarders, you have to walk on eggshells, proceed with caution. Typically the person, I always request and encourage the person to seek out therapy, because there is an underlying emotional issue that causes that behavior. So if that's not being addressed, you could clean up as much as you want and organize as much as you want. It's going to revert back unless that person is actually addressing the root cause of the issue. And so my work with them is very slow, which is frustrating for people who want the quick. They want the quick, snap your fingers and it all disappears. But you cannot do that to someone with a hoarding disorder, because they are very
No,
anxious. They're
no.
very vulnerable. Um, Probably in their life someone has done that to them, and they probably have lost items of value, because what they've done is they've intermingled the important things with essentially garbage, and you have to sort through it with them and be respectful as much as you can, and go very slowly. And then usually, if they're getting help, if they are in a mental place where they're ready to move on, they will start to improve. But it is very slow, and it's not for everybody. Not every organizer will engage with someone who has that kind of
Yeah,
disorder, and there's all different levels. There are very intense ones, but I have walked into places where it has taken the person a few minutes to open the door because they've had to move things out of the way to get the door open, and that's a huge red flag for me, because if there's an issue or an emergency, that person cannot just get out of their house quickly,
yeah.
which is very scary, and those are the things you
Becomes a
hear about.
safety issue.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and it's not terribly uncommon either. There are a lot of people out there, and it's interesting because I've had a couple of clients who've had those issues, and there one I was very close with, and it was very sad. It's an illness, and so
Yes.
I love your approach. Um, so in your work, obviously, you go through a lot of things. What's the best thing you've ever found?
The best thing I've ever found.
Or the most interesting thing?
Well,
Either.
I am the finder. A lot of times when I go into a job, someone will tell me that there's something there that has been lost, and they know it's there, and I tell them if it's here, I will find it. Going item by item, room by room. Like I'm very efficient, but very diligent. So I had a client whose husband was killed by a drunk driver, and at the time of death, his wedding ring was not found on his person, and so there was a suspicion that maybe it was removed and lost somehow in the medical treatment, which I don't know. It's possible. But there was uncertainty about it, and so she wanted to clean out a closet that had all of her spouse's clothes in them, but she was very reluctant to throw anything away, or she wanted to donate it, but
Yeah.
she was reluctant to do it because she was concerned that the wedding ring could be in a pocket somewhere. And so she said, I don't really trust anyone else to do this, but if you could go through it just to put my mind at ease. And so I went through every single item in that closet and I found it in the pocket of a blazer that he had been wearing a few days before he had died. And um, I ran downstairs, and gave it to her, and she was just like really so over the moon happy about this. Sad and happy. It's very
Yeah.
bittersweet.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I was really like that was a huge thing for me. And after that, I've found deeds and mortgages and death certificates, wills. Um, I've had a situation where someone told me that the client couldn't find the paperwork for their burial arrangements, and
mhm.
um, and they were going to be, they were close to dying, and it was like really critical. And I found something that I found a piece of paper that indicated where the parents were buried, and that was let them. It was like the trail, the breadcrumbs that led them to where calling the right facility and discovering that yes, paperwork had been filed with them to prepay for funeral arrangements, etc. So yeah, I mean, I found a pair of diamond earrings that someone had lost and had fired their cleaning person because they had accused them of stealing them. That was
Not
a, that was a
unusual.
bittersweet moment. So yeah, it's nice to help people. The worst feeling in the world is losing something, especially like if it's there and you just can't find it. It's very frustrating. So I love being able to help people take that feeling away.
That's great. Well, Tina, thank you so much. This was you know, a great little interview. I think your services are amazing, and the care you put into the work you do, and it's remarkable. And I love being able to refer you to people. So,
Well, thank
thank you
you.
so much for participating in this.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your summer. And I'm sure we'll talk soon.
To give us the name of your website.
Sure. I'm www.stowandbehold.com. And I'm also on Facebook at Stow and Behold, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Yeah, social media is big for you, definitely. And that information will be in the podcast info as well as below the video if you're looking at this on video. So thank you for watching, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you at our next podcast.